Linguistics and spoken languages. A spoken language is a language produced by articulate sounds as opposed to a written language. So in speaking, we use our articulatory system, while in writing a language, we do not use it. Many languages have no written form and so are only spoken. So we know that there are certain languages in the far off areas of the globe which are only spoken languages. They are not found in written forms. Speech is an innate human capability and written language is a cultural invention. So we are hardwired with the faculty to use language, whereas we have invented written form of the language as the culture progressed, as the societies progressed. So the term spoken language is sometimes used to mean only vocal languages, excluding sign languages. So according to some linguists, these spoken languages are only those languages which are articulated, whereas sign language is not included in the articulation, so it is not a spoken version of the language. Whereas other refers to sign language as spoken. So according to other linguists, sign language is also a part of the spoken languages, or they are also spoken languages in their own right. Much of the meaning is determined by the context. When we are speaking, we derive a lot of meaning from the context. When we use languages, when we are engaged in a conversation, in a communication act, we use words sometimes which convey the whole sentence, because these words have a certain context. They are used in a certain context. So in spoken language, the context is very important. The truth of a proposition is determined by common sense reference to experience. So when we are engaged in a communication act, we understand each other on the basis of the shared experiences that we have. So this is a very peculiar aspect of the spoken language. Spoken language tends to convey subjective information, including the relationship between the speaker and the audience. So we convey subjectivity or our own feelings, our opinions when we are interacting with each other. And beside conveying this aspect, we are also developing a relationship with the speaker. Both the speaker and the listener are exchanging a relationship, are developing a rapport between them. So this aspect is very much there in the spoken language. The relationship between spoken language and written language is complex. Obviously, it is another version. The written language is another version of the spoken language, and there are certain facilities that are available with the written version which are not available with the spoken language. When we are speaking, we are using language in a very different way. Our sentences will be short. There will be more commands. Whereas when we are dealing with written languages, the written language can have any complexity of ideas. Its sentences can be longer. It can carry any vocabulary. And one thing which is not found in spoken language does not last long. Once it's uttered, it fades away. Whereas the written language is a permanent record. So there are certain complex aspect regarding the written and spoken forms of the language. The importance of language and languages goes far beyond internal structure, extending to almost all human endeavors. So language is so much important for human beings that instead of its internal structure that conveys a meaning, it also is involved in discussing, in relating human efforts to human beings. So spoken language, when it is being used, has certain ends to meet. It develops a relationship between the user of the language, and it is very different from the written language.